And the other thing, the other subject on which this is true is migration. I was that opening I did about the UN. I am not joking about this. The UN next week is going to hold this meeting in Marrakesh, and they have this global compact on migration. And it's called the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration. And you can tell by the name of that it's all about being in favor of migration. They pays a little bit of lip service to the sovereignty of the nations who are being swept under by people from failed states. It doesn't pay any attention really to whether they want to keep their culture intact, to whether they can handle these people, to whether they can afford to give to people who haven't been paying taxes all the services that Western nations provide. They don't talk about that at all. All they really talk about is, don't you insult these poor migrants who get to sweep into their country. So essentially, this is the UN saying, all these tyrants who run the UN and spend all their time sitting around going, Israel, I hate Israel. We must pass another resolution against Israel. All these clowns who sit around the UN, double parking in Manhattan and then going off to throw their mistresses out the window in some hotel. All these clowns are going to tell the West, oh yeah, and all these failed states, you just have to take them in. You have to take them in and spend your money on them because these countries are not going to do it. Instead of chasing some of these tyrants and idiots out and establishing the rule of property law, free trade, capitalism, all those things that help people come out of poverty. Instead of doing that, they let the tyrants, the madmen, run the asylum, and now they want everybody to sign on. And so, of course, in England, something like 40,000 people have already, which I think is the population of England, have already signed a petition against this. And one of the people, the EU migration commissioner, Dimitris Avramopoulos or something like this, said, he told a German newspaper he doesn't understand why anybody would oppose the pact because it's not binding. The pact is not binding. So why wouldn't you sign it? Which is absurd. If you don't agree with it, why would you sign it? And of course, once you sign it, you accept the terms of the pact, which is that basically migration is a human right and anybody should be able to do it. This guy was put on Twitter. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. I couldn't track down his name, but he is an EU MP, and he was protesting. They put him on Twitter as if he were supporting this pact, but he's protesting the pact, and he describes what I was talking about in the opening, this idea that they're going to they can deal with the voice of the people simply by shutting it down. Here he describes it.
Participating countries are set to sign this agreement. And although this joint agreement isn't binding, it's still meant to be the legal framework on which the participating countries commit themselves to build new legislation. And one basic element of this new agreement is the extension of the definition of hate speech. The agreement wants to criminalize migration speech. Criticism of migration will become a criminal offense. And media outlets, and that also concerns you, that give room to criticism of migration can be shut down. The Compact for Migration is legalization of mass migration. It's declaring migration as a human right.
All around the world, anti-immigration groups are rising up. All around the world, nationalist leaders are getting more and more, and nationalist parties are getting more votes. Trump wins in America by promising to build a wall on the border. Angela Merkel is finished in Germany because she let all those people come sweeping in. The people want to protect their nations. They want a right to say who comes into their nations. Even welcoming countries like ours can be taxed beyond our ability to take people in. And the elite hear these voices and they want them to shut up. They are telling you, hey, don't tell us what to do. We're the elites. And the way they do it, the guy just described it, they define it as hate speech. And that, which brings me to our pals at Apple.